Hey guys, welcome back to the sculpture. I haven't been doing a lot of this because I've been busy with, the whole coronavirus thing and now the riots in DC. But today I got around to working a little bit on the sculpture and I'm starting to see a little bit of the end of it. As you guys know, in the last installment of the video, I actually I hollowed out the sculpture. So this is hollow up top, so it's a lot lighter and I just need to hollow out a little bit more, including the head, the arms, and the legs, but I'll do that towards the end. And you can see I'm adding a lot more detail. I like to keep the detail a little bit more prominent in the feet, the hands, the head, and the torso, but I try not to go overboard. Also, if you use a red cloth, the ones that you get at an auto parts store, they're used for just oil, cleaning oil and stuff. It has a consistency of burlap, and that really works well with sculptures, especially water-based sculpture. You can see me using it right here. I put the clay down, and then I just brush the sculpture in the way of most of the time where the fibers of the muscles are going. And I wet it, and wetting really just makes the cloth glide really well. And then I go over it again, I add more details, and then I try to subtly blend it. I don't want to have too many smooth surfaces on it. I want to vary it up. It's the variety of line that's important in sculpture. I'm also using a bristle brush, like an oil painting bristle brush, to dip it in water and then blending in the details. The right foot and the left foot are both getting hard because they're extended past the platform, but this just kind of like, sometimes you can do a lot more cool effects when the clay is a little bit harder. You can definitely add a little bit more detail, but when you add new pieces of clay, you have to be careful to blend them in properly. Now I'm adding some detail around the knees. The knees are a very interesting area for me, so I always try to pay a lot of attention. So you have the kneecap, the patella, you have like the tendons, you have the quadriceps, and of course right about here, this is where you have like the belly, and you have the line, which is I believe the linea alba, going down the middle of the abdominal. And also in that section of the hips, you have to make sure that you sculpt the sartorius. And the line where the hips kind of meets the torso, I like to make it a little bit more obvious. One of the things that you're going to be finding is that if you keep your lines a little bit flatter, it tends to make the sculpture a lot stronger looking. So I try to keep that in mind when I'm sculpting. I don't want to make it too round. And I think one of the things I've seen people do is like they overly blend things. It's not that important to blend things. I think it's better as a sculptor to have some sort of smoothness and then go over it and over it until you get the right look. One of the things I am looking to do with the sculpture is to change your hair. I was thinking about giving it like some sort of braided hair going down the chest, but I'm not quite sure yet. The tie-in of the hair back is nice because you can see the neck, but I feel like I don't really need to do that. So here I am going with a brush, and the brush is great for getting to the edges where she is sitting. I'm keeping the platform really level. I could put something in it, and maybe if I think of a motif that I want, I'll probably put it on. But I am thinking about changing up the hair because the hair tied up behind is more of a life sculpt, life drawing, life painting thing that people do because they want to see the neck of the model, but I don't really think it's that important. And sometimes the hair is actually one of the things that lends rigidity to the neck because the neck is just so fragile. So here I am cutting back a little bit of the rib cage because it's a little bit too massive, and that way I can make her breasts pop out just a little bit more. And I'm rounding off the rib cage, doing a little bit more details. It's very difficult to get the clay underneath where the rib cage is, but now I am sculpting the scapula and the acromion process, which is where the scapula, the clavicle, and the humerus meet is really important to keep in mind and make it nice and obvious. I think a lot of people, they almost lose that bony structure when they're sculpting. So there's the scapula, infraspinatus, the teres major group, and I'm just kind of going back and forth with it. It takes me a lot of time, and I do know a little bit about anatomy, so it kind of helps me a lot, but oftentimes I'll sculpt and then I'll look at the anatomy books, and that's pretty much what the life of a sculptor is. You know, there's no shortcut about it. You're just learning anatomy much more than you would doing paintings, I believe. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video.